What is going on YouTube? Is your boy T-Man here, and today the video isn't going to be as upbeat as all my previous videos. Today I'm going to be talking about my ACL injury. I picked up an ACL injury about 10 months ago, and last week I got my surgery finally after a very long wait. I got my surgery, it was successful. So I thought I'd make a quick video and tell you guys about the surgery, how I went about getting it, you know, all the stages involved in the whole ACL process, getting your scan, going to the doctors diagnosing it, and I'm making this video to make make it more of an informative video to help people out there who are going through the same thing that I'm going through, post-surgery, recovering, rehabilitation, all the things that you need to do to speed up the recovery. Hopefully the video helps you guys. It can also help people who are planning to have the surgery. This video might help you in making your decision if you want to go ahead with the surgery, not go ahead with surgery, the pros and cons, and just anyone who's interested in ACL. So I'm going to explain to you how I did this madness. Okay, so firstly, what is ACL? ACL is your anterior cruciate ligament. I'm not going to get too deep into the anatomy, but it's basically a ligament that holds your femur and your tibia together, and it helps you rotate and prevents hyperextension. Hyperextension is just basically your upper leg going beyond your lower part of your leg, so it prevents that. How I did my ACL injury was by playing football. So there's two components involved in how I picked up this this injury. Like I said, I was playing football. The first component is the football boots that I was wearing. I was wearing Nike Vapors, and if you know anything about football boots, you'll know that the Nike Vapors, the front of the boot has very tiny blades, and the back has a very long blade. I probably chose the wrong boots on the day, but those are the boots that I chose. So I went into the pitch, I got the ball, ran into the middle of the pitch, and rather than going past the player, I thought I'd be a bit flowery and fake a movement and then go in a different direction. This is where the second component gets involved. This is basically where the hyperextension took place. Ball was on the ground. I faked a movement to the left. The player actually went to the left, and then I rapidly moved to the right. My foot remained in the ground, and then I hyperextended and went left. So you can imagine my foot remained, I went right. Sorry, yeah, I went right, and then it would just snap. It literally sounded like this, like 10 times louder than that. I thought I broke my leg. I collapsed, went onto the floor, screaming. I couldn't lift my leg up. Luckily, one of the players we had on the pitch, I think he diagnosed it wrong anyway, but he came over and said, you haven't done your ACL, you haven't done your meniscus. But it turns out, after like 3 months of walking around on it, not knowing what I'd done, it was an ACL, full 3rd degree rupture, gone. And to think I was walking around for 10 months, fine, no kind of knee stability tool being used. I was fine. And yeah, so after I'd done the injury, I actually went back onto the pitch and carried on playing. I think it was adrenaline. I just wanted to play football so bad. I went onto the pitch, finished the game, we won the game, and then I went home. I went to the GP a few days later because I thought I'd done something more serious than my knee. Because funnily enough, after ACL, what should happen? Your knee should just blow up, get inflamed, and there should be a lot of swelling, but I didn't have any of that. So none of the signs or the signals were there to tell me I'd done my ACL. So I went to a GP, and she told me to take naproxen, which is like paracetamol on crack. Okay, not paracetamol on crack, just 10 times the strength of paracetamol, to take that for 3 months. She'd done a few tests in-house, and she said I was fine. That wasn't the case. I tried to play football again after 3 months, and every time I turned, it felt like someone was stabbing me in the knee. It literally just felt like someone was... I went to play five-a-side, it felt like someone was outside the cage with a sniper just shooting me in my leg every time I tried to turn. Sorry, the description in there, example is very vivid, but that's the extremities of the pain. So that's how it felt. Went to the GP again, and I just don't want to go discuss this dude, this GP this time around. I think he was a trainee. He was showing me on his screen what an ACL was, and he was recording himself at the same time. Long story short, he didn't send me in for an MRI scan, so I was determined to get this MRI scan. And you should be the same, by the way. If you think there's something wrong with you, you should go to the doctor, pre-diagnose it and tell them this is what it is, and tell them to tell you why they don't think that's what it is. So anyway, I went there and told this amazing GP, I'm not going to say her name, but she's absolutely amazing, that I need an MRI scan. She basically sympathised with me, sent me for the MRI scan. Results came back, full rupture, ACL, which the news, I just didn't take it well. It's slightly depressing, I'm not going to lie. Been playing football for 25 plus years or 24 plus years, and now you can't kick a ball. And to make things worse, you know, the health service are just longing things out. So I've had the MRI scan. GP has received the results. She sent me for a pre-assessment. I went for a pre-assessment. Turns out that there was no point in going to that pre-assessment and taking a day off work, because the surgeons who were meant to carry out the surgery after I had the pre-assessment at the same institution, they'd all moved to Spain. So that was just a waste of time. I then went for another pre-assessment. My GP referred me to, luckily, to a Premiership ACL consultant. He basically does all the Premiership players, and he's renowned for that, and he's quite popular. And I had my assessment with him, and he basically gave me the option. He carried out a few tests, and he said, okay, you've done your ACL, but you can carry on as normal. You don't really need a surgery. You can carry on as normal. However, you won't be able to do sports. But at the same time, you're a young, athletic, outgoing, sporty young man. If you want to carry on playing football, you're going to need a surgery. I opted for the surgery. And it's funny, he said to me, it's going to take a lot of self-determination, and, you know, you're going to be off the pitch for 6 months up to a year. I'm willing to do it. I want to play football again. I want to get back into sports. So I accepted to do surgery. There's all kinds of things that happen in between before I had the surgery. I don't really want to go into that. But let's just say, when it comes to your health and people dealing with it, you know, the people who are in charge of doing the surgery and things like that, make sure you chase these people, because they're human beings like all of us, and they get a bit busy at times and they kind of forget about you. And you've heard all these things about the health service, you know, NHS in the news. That probably has something to do with it, but it took its time. Okay, I got this ACL injury about 10 to 11 months ago, and I had my surgery last week. So I would just put it into perspective for you. So I had my surgery last week. It was successful. I had an ACL reconstruction using a hamstring graft. It's amazing. I'll show you in a second my bandaging on my leg. But it's amazing how they do it. You should check it out. There's a few videos of people carrying out the surgery, and there's kind of like a 3D type video on YouTube showing exactly what they do. They kind of drill through your bone, and then they use this biodisposable kind of screw which goes into your bone, and after time the bone then accepts that bit of screw, and it doesn't dissolve, but it becomes your bone. And they take a hamstring graft, and they basically replace the ACL with that hamstring graft, and over time it then turns into your new anterior cruciate ligament. That's why it just takes so long. You have to do a lot of physio to make it strong, and you have to do your physio so it allows you to get back into your sports. So I'm going to show you quickly my leg. It isn't pretty. I can't really lift it, but that, you can see, is my leg. You can see the lower plaster. That's, I don't know what that is there. The lower rectangle, but the two on the side are for one's for a camera and one's for another tool to go in and do all the reconstruction. So the general anesthetic, it is trippy. I mean, one minute I was talking to this guy just about life and where he's from, just general chit chat, and woke up next minute, surgery's done. So you're not going to feel anything if you go for general anesthetic. So once the surgery is done, you'll sign a few forms, and you're out the door on crutches. You won't be able to walk. You're going to need someone to take you home, like a chaperone. And then when you get home, just elevate that leg, rest, ice, compression, elevation, plenty of ice, and I personally, thanks to a physio of mine, she suggested I take anti-inflammatories, ibuprofen. I started taking ibuprofen, and it feels amazing because all the inflammation in your leg, it reduces that, and it just allows you to flex and bend much more easily. Also, the cocodamol that they give you, it makes you feel very lazy, very drowsy, and you just don't feel like doing anything. And I don't want to be getting fixed on something like that, because when I go back to work, I'll probably just fall asleep on my desk and needing cocodamol. But anyway, the surgery was successful. I am now rehabilitating the leg. I received a letter today saying I need to go in for physio next week. So hopefully I can start moving, bending, squatting. I'm doing a lot of that already because I'm following the physio exercises that they've given me. Just a word of advice, if you want to get back into sports, I know I'm only 1 week in, but I've done so much research on this, and I know people who have suffered from the same injury and it hasn't been great for them coming back. If you want to come back into sports, make sure you do the physio. You know, straightening your leg, getting a 180-degree extension, trying to bend it, that might be limited because of the hamstring is weak and you've got an inflamed knee. But get that extension, start moving around. I'm already walking, but I'm struggling. I'm forcing myself. You can bear the weight, but I am forcing myself to walk because I don't want to rely on the crutches. But follow the physio's sheet, which shows you what exercises to do if you want to get back into the game quick. What I do want to say is, don't let it bring you down, okay? I let it bring me down for a little bit when the surgery happened. I mean, it would happen to anyone who's really into their sports, and it's just a downer. You just don't want to hear something like this, that you can't play football for the next 6 months to a year. And at the same time, you're thinking to yourself, man, what if I come back and I'm not the same? Of course you won't be the same. I'm feeling like that, but I'm going to put in the work. I'm going to put in the hard work. I'm going to do the physio. I'm going to do extra work on top of what the physio give me to strengthen up my leg. I mean, I picked up this injury 10 months ago, and I was going to the gym, squatting, benching, just weight bearing exercises 6 days a week, and I didn't feel anything on my knee. If that was the case when I had the ACL, then imagine how it's going to be after ACL and I carry on exercising like that. My leg is going to be very, very strong. So that is my next plan of action, to just keep getting stronger, listen to the physio, listen to my body, and just do all the right things. What I would say to people who are planning on having the ACL reconstruction is, from the research that I've done, go for the gold standard reconstruction. When I say gold standard, I mean go for the hamstring as opposed to the patella reconstruction, because from what I've read, the hamstring is less likely to tear, and even though it takes longer to recover, it's proven to be more of a successful reconstruction when the hamstring graft is used. And patella, once again from what I've read, isn't as successful in comparison to the hamstring graft. So if you have an option, I would say go for the hamstring I'm not. If I had my vlogging camera, I would document this, all my physio and things like that. But yeah, I'm bedbound. I'm not really bedbound anymore. I can walk around the house, but I'm not really leaving the house. Can't do any of that. But thanks to my family and friends, you know, they've all come here, come around my house, supported me. Especially, you know, my brother, my mum, my dad. There's just everyone. Have your family around you during this time when you do your ACL, because you're gonna need it. Okay, you're gonna start to realize how important family is if you don't know already, but they're gonna help you through this time. They're just your nurses basically, and they'll help you get through it, and just be mentally strong and allow yourself to see the positives of it, and that is you've got the surgery now. If you focus on the physio and you do all the right things, you'll be back in action in no time. Well, I hope so. But I hope that helped, and I just wanted to put a bit of confidence in the people out there who are going through the same thing that I'm going through. In summary, ACL, it can be ruptured through hyperextension or over rotation. Watch the boots that you wear when you're playing sports, okay? I would not advise you to wear blades. To put into example format, a blade is like a spade. Stick a spade in the ground, you cannot turn it, alright? Put a stud in the ground, you can do 360 turns on it, okay? And that was my mistake. I wore blades and snap, it was gone. If you think you've done your ACL, go to A&E as opposed to the GP. A&E is a longer wait, but they'll give you a scan there and then, and they could probably tell you on the day that you've done that. That was my mistake, and I want you guys, well, I've learnt from it, and I want you guys to learn from my mistake. So that's another point. Chase up on people who are dealing with your surgery. You'll get a lot, like me, I got loads of cancellation letters, and I wouldn't have got last week's surgery had I not complained. My next surgery would have been on 27th September because someone with urgent priority was prioritized over me. So I'm lucky that I chased them up and I got my surgery last week. And follow your physio's sheet or exercise plan, and you will find yourself on the road to recovery. If I haven't covered any points, feel free to leave a comment down below, and just get a topic started. If you suffer from ACL, you know, help each other out. It ain't the best of times, but with the help of family and friends, you will get through it. It's your boy TeeManTV. Peace.